because he's already prepared for what I might do. He knows what I'm going to do before I do it, and he already made preparation for me before I get there. What follows darkness is light. That darkness is the indicator that light is getting ready to shine. So there it is in Genesis, when darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God in the spirit form moved upon the face of the waters, and then God said, let there be. Because darkness precedes the light. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But he needs the darkness there so that God can move upon the face of the deep, so that the shift can take place. Listen, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor that shift take place in the darkness. Oh God, y'all didn't hear what I just said. Everybody's not going to see the shift that's happening. They see the chaos, but they don't see the shift. They see all the craziness going on in your life, but they don't understand that underneath the darkness, God is moving in secret. He's moving in quiet. He's moving in the hidden places. He's moving in the cracks and the corners and the crevices. He's moving in places that you cannot see. And when the light comes, they're going to see a new order. Some of you are even afraid to dream, afraid to imagine. But I'm here to tell you that you are an infinite, limitless, boundless being. Are you willing to do what is necessary to have what you desire?
Thank you for joining us. Please take a moment and like the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube page and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. If you are finding value in these enrichment sessions, please consider supporting this page financially. Your donations allow us to continue to provide spiritual enlightenment, self-exploration, and kingdom knowledge. Also, consider becoming a partner because partnerships have this privilege. As a partner, you'll be able to attend our annual Partners Only Summer Summit, join us for our 6 a.m. virtual daily guided meditation sessions, weekly advanced empowerment sessions, regular prophetic insights and instructions, 30% discount on all Emerge books and merchandise, and a custom Emerge t-shirt. You'll also gain full access to the private Emerge Movement community page as well as group chats. Once again, thank you for watching.
And good morning to all of you. Good morning. So glad that you've decided to join us for the Emerge Empowerment Session. I'm your host, Isaac J. Miles Sr., and I am excited and very happy to be able to share this soulful Sunday with you and to also be able to share some insights and revelation and knowledge, wisdom that we will glean from the sacred and share with you so that you can practically apply it to your life as you are matriculating through this three-dimensional plane of consciousness that we call Earth, and you are on your journey towards spiritual wholeness. Now, a few housekeeping things real quickly before we get into the actual session this morning. Those of you who are watching with me right now, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, I want you to begin to tag and share this live broadcast with as many people as you possibly can. Put it in your group chat, send it out to your family and friends, your neighbors, your cousin them, your mama them, all of them, so that they'll be able to tune in and take part in this conscious conversation. Tag them in the comments. That alerts them so that they're able to jump on and be a part of the open dialogue and the conversation that we're having today. I'd also like to remind you that, as you saw already in some of the advertisements, partnership has its privileges. Man, we are doing some things in the partner portals, that I think is just so phenomenal, and I'm sure that those who are partners will testify to that. They're learning so much, getting so much information, and changing their life on a financial level, on a spiritual level, emotional level, mental and psychological level, in every facet of their being. We go way deeper and more into detail in the partner portal than we do on the general platform, and we offer you some other insights and information that I just don't feel the freedom and liberty to do on our general platform. So it is absolutely worth it. It's worth the investment. You are investing in yourself when you become a part of the Emerge Partnership. So consider being a partner. How you do so is written right there in the description above you, or if you're on YouTube below, the description of the video, and you'll be able to see. All you need to do is just send an email to the email address that you see on your screen, requesting the information packet, or saying simply, I want in, and I'll send you an information packet. And once you've had time to peruse it, you simply sign the partnership agreement and send it back, and that's it. You are officially a part of the Emerge movement. It's a great place to be. All right, so forgive me, my throat is a little bit scratchy this morning, so I might sound a little icky, but clear enough for you to be able to understand and hear what I'm saying here. So let's get into what we're going to talk about this morning. Today, the topic of discussion I've entitled Masterful Money Moves. Masterful Money Moves. And you'll understand why as we get into the narrative and the conversation today. Masterful money move. And I want to use as a basis for our conscious conversation a scripture text taken from the Bible that's found in Luke. I think it's chapter 16. It is chapter 16. In Luke chapter 16, verses 1 through 13. And I'm going to do something that I haven't done in quite some time in these sessions, but I'm going to actually take the time to read the text that we're going to base our conversation on. I'm going to read it all the way through, and then we'll come back and we'll unpack it and we'll talk about it. Now, I will tell you right now, this is a text that is not widely discussed. You certainly won't find a whole lot of sermons based on this particular text because it presents some difficult challenges, and it presents an aspect and a side of Jesus, the character Jesus, that most are not willing to grapple with or to embrace or to deal with. It poses some concepts and it posits a particular mindset and belief that seems almost antithetical to the idea that Christianity tries to propagate from its pulpits on most Sundays. And so they kind of avoid this. And then the very few that try to tackle this particular text, at least in the research I've done, the very few people who have tried to tackle this particular text, they really twist themselves in knots, trying to get it to say something that it doesn't say, so that it aligns with the core values that they've established for themselves, because it so frightens them. Some of the concepts, the ideas that it seems to posit in this particular text. So let's read it all the way through. I'm going to read it just as it's written, with as little commentary as I possibly can. Y'all know I kind of comment along the way. But I'm going to try and leave out a whole lot of commentary until after I've completed it, and then we will dig into it and see what lessons we're able to glean from it. All right, here we go. Verse 1. And he said unto his disciples, and I do want to point out then, he is now speaking to his followers, his disciples, who would go on to become apostles, go on to become the church. So this is a letter to the religious community, but more not necessarily religious, but more so to those who are believers, those who understand their own divinity, their connection, their oneness with God. Listen to what he says to those enlightened ones, informed ones, disciplined, discipled, disciplined ones. He relates to them a parable. A parable is a story with a moral or several morals to it that is using a secular story in order to make a spiritual point. Okay? Here is the parable. He says to the disciples, there was a certain rich man which had a steward or a manager, and the same was accused unto him. Someone told the master that the steward, the manager, had wasted his goods. And so he called him, the manager, and said unto him, how is it that I hear this of thee? Give an account of your stewardship or your management. Show me the books. Show me what you've been doing with my money, how you've been managing my affairs, so that thou mayest no longer be a steward. Because when I find out that you've mismanaged or mishandled my money, my affairs, you're fired. You're out of here. You will be put out on the street. Listen to what it says. Then the steward said to himself, so now he's thinking in his mind, okay? He is engaging his mind. Please get that. He is engaging his mind. So the steward says within himself, what shall I do? For my Lord will take away from me my stewardship or management position. And he says, I cannot dig. In other words, I can't be out here digging ditches and doing menial manual labor. And he says, and to beg, I am ashamed. I certainly don't want to become a beggar out on the street. I'd be embarrassed, humiliated, and ashamed to become a beggar. I'm too weak to dig. I'm not a manual labor person, and I'm certain too ashamed to be in a position where I'm going to have to beg. Listen, he says, I am resolved what to do. I've come up with an idea. I've got a strategy that when I am put out of my stewardship or management, they may receive me into their houses. Plural. Who is the they? Well, we're about to find out. So he called every one of his Lord's debtors. So the they are the people who owed his master or his Lord or his boss, who owed his boss. He was managing his boss's business and affairs. And there were debtors, people who owed his boss. Listen to what he says. So he called all of the Lord's debtors unto him and said to the first one, how much owest thou, my Lord? And the man answers and says, 100 measures of oil. The steward or the manager says to him, take thy bill and sit down quickly and write out 50. So he reduces the debt by 50%. He says to the debtor, get your bill quickly and write out 50. In other words, give me 50% of what you owe. Reduce the debt by 50%. Okay? And he said, I'm sorry. Yeah. Then he said to another, how much do you owe? And that debtor said, 100 measures of wheat. So he says to this debtor, take your bill and then write out 80 or 80%. So he gives him a 20% discount and says, pay out 80%. Now, we don't know how he came up with those numbers, but we can infer that because he was the manager of the business, he knew how much these people owed. He also was aware of their financial wherewithal. And so he set the price at something that he knew would be manageable for those debtors. 50%, but another, he probably knew that this one was in a little better financial position, so he reduces it by 20%. In both cases, he gives them a discount. Okay? So he says, write it out for 80 or 80. And then the Lord, that is the owner of the business, the boss, commended what Jesus is purported to be referring to this manager as an unjust manager, a failed manager, okay, a manager who has not been very good at his job. Now he commends this manager because he has done wisely or in another translation, it says shrewdly. Okay? And then he makes a statement. For the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. Take special note of what Jesus is purported to have said. Jesus says, for the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. And I say unto you, Jesus again speaking, make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when you fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitation. Then he goes on to say, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. If therefore you have not been faithful, listen to what he says. If you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, if you have not learned how to be faithful or a good manager or a good steward with money, that's what mammon is, with money, who will commit to you, to your trust, true riches? So right there, he devalues money as not being true riches. He says money is not true riches, but you have to learn to be faithful with money, how to manage and steward money correctly so that you can be entrusted with true riches, that the measure of your maturity is in how you learn to manage money. Wait, he doesn't stop there. He says, and if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, managing someone else's, being second fiddle, learning to serve and work for another, if you cannot be faithful in that which belongs to another man, who will give you that which is your own? Who's going to entrust you with the necessary resources to have your own if you have not shown that you can manage properly that which belongs to someone else? Man, we're going to dig into this. That's powerful. No servant can serve two masters. Listen to what he says. For he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to one and despise the other. No servant can serve two masters. You can only have one. He says, you cannot serve God and mammon or money. So ends the reading of the text. This is powerful. Now, I know that this, as I said, presents some concepts and some ideology and some teaching and truths that are antithetical to the common Christian value or its definition, rather, of what is right, good, holy, or just. But these are not the words are not attributed to Pharisees, Sadducees. It's not attributed to anyone that is supposedly a heathen or unrighteous. These are words that are attributed to Jesus, the ensample and example of what it means to be God in the flesh. So can we undig? I want you to let that marinate with you. And let's go back and let's dig. And let's begin to unpack what the text is trying to teach us here. So it is imperative that we first take note of the fact that he is directing this particular parable to his followers, to the disciples, the disciplined ones. It is imperative that we understand he is talking to those who are learning the discipline of Christ, that is the Christ consciousness, learning how to navigate this three-dimensional existence while being a divine being in a human form. Remember, these are the same people to whom he says, everything you see me do, you can do also, and you'll do a greater quantity, more of what I've done, because my time on this planet or plane of consciousness is limited. Okay? But you have the capacity to do more than I've done. But you'll be able to do exactly the things that you've seen me do. So I've got to show you how you live as a divine being in a three-dimensional form, navigating its way through this plane of consciousness, this existence that we call Earth. And here is one of the lessons that I want you to learn. I want you to learn how to manage money. I want you to learn management skills. I want you to learn how to master money and master money moves. I want you to learn how to occupy until I come. And so he begins to relate this parable to them. He says, let's go back through the parable and unpack. He says, there was a certain rich man. So we know that this man that is addressed as Master, Lord, is someone who is of means and resources. He is rich, who has a steward, a manager. Note that he has hired someone, put him in a position to manage his business. Now, this is a common occurrence, not only in that time, but in our time. Do you really think that Bill Gates manages all of his affairs on his own, or that Warren Buffett or any of the other extremely uber rich or wealthy people that we know, even some of the ones that you admire, people like, many of you probably follow the pages of people like Jay-Z and Beyonce and so on and so forth. Do you really think that they spend their time on a social media platform? Absolutely not. They hire people to manage those things, and they hire other people to be stewards and managers over their business affairs. Leadership and wealth knows how to delegate authority. Ooh, that wasn't even a part of my outline of teaching, but there's a good lesson that if you're going to arise to the level of that kind of wealth, you've got to know how to discern the people around you and then be willing to delegate authority. And you give your focus to the things that are most pertinent and most important. Okay? So he hires this manager, and the word comes to him. He starts to hear grumblings, rumblings. The word gets to him that this guy is doing a poor job of managing your money. Now, I've heard a few of the few preachers that I've heard that have tried to tackle this text have always inserted that he was somehow stealing or embezzling money from the owner. But that is not in the text. The text simply says he heard that there was mismanagement. And the only mismanagement that we can see clearly in the text, there is no indication that he was stealing. There was no indication that he was embezzling. There was no indication that he was siphoning anything off. The only indication of mismanagement is that he wasn't producing a profit. That his boss had all of these clients who owed him, and the manager wasn't collecting anything. He wasn't producing a profit. So his mismanagement, his failure in stewardship was that he was not producing a profit. There was nothing coming in. He had nothing to show for how he had managed the money that belonged to his boss. It kind of reminds you of another parable of the 5 talents, the 2 talents, and the 1. The last man who had the 1 talent, the manager, I'm sorry, not the manager rather, but the owner was not upset with him because he had stole the 1 coin. He was upset with him because he didn't turn a profit. He took the 1 coin and hid it in the ground. And then when the master came, he gave him his 1 coin back. And even the master in that parable says, if you had just put it in the treasuries where I could get the usury, the interest off of it, that would have at least been something. He says, but I'm calling you wicked and unprofitable. Listen to how he labeled him. Thou wicked and unprofitable servant. So the issue was not stealing, but that he was not producing a profit. Ladies and gentlemen, what is it that you are doing with what you have been entrusted with? The money that you're entrusted with, as well as everything else that God, the all of everything, has invested in your life. Are you producing a profit? Because if you're not producing a profit, you are considered wicked and unprofitable. That you are considered the unjust manager. That you are a failed steward because you are not producing more from what you are given. Are you understanding what I'm saying to you? I especially need to talk to those of you who feel right now you are in the position where you don't have a whole lot, and now you want to talk to me about managing money. Man, I'm trying to hold on to every little nickel and every dime I got. I'm trying to just hold this and save this. I'm pinching every penny and trying to stretch it as far as I can and just trying to make ends meet. And I'm not turning a profit. I'm staying right where, matter of fact, I'm just trying to keep my head above water and stay right where I am. Maintain the status quo and not produce a loss. But maintaining the status quo, whatever your level is unacceptable. That's the text. That's the text. The one who had the 1 talent maintained the status quo and presented the talent. The status quo was considered wicked and unprofitable. This manager hadn't stole anything. He just hadn't collected anything. He hadn't turned a profit. And so it made him be considered unjust. That is, mismanaging, unprofitable. Let's keep going, keep unpacking. It says, he says to him, he calls the manager and says, why am I hearing that you are not turning a profit, that you're mismanaging my affairs? I need you to open the books and give me an accounting of what you've done, because I'm getting ready to fire you. Watch this right here. When you don't turn a profit, you run the risk of being fired. What are you producing? Ooh, I'm going to take a sip on that one. What are you producing? In the other parable, Jesus takes the one talent from the one who had the one and gives it to the one who had the 5 and doubled it. Are you hearing me? And he puts out as the lesson that those who don't produce anything with what I've given you, even what you have will be taken and given to those who know how to produce, who know how to invest, who know what money is for and how to use it and produce more. Are you hearing what I'm saying? He says, so I need you to give me an account of what you've done with this money, or otherwise you're fired. I don't need to keep around someone who doesn't know how, in a position to manage money, who doesn't know how to manage it correctly so that you are producing more of it. I don't need to put money in the hand of someone who has shown that they don't know how to manage money correctly. They don't know how to produce a profit. Why in the world do I need to bless you with this windfall? Bless me, Lord, bless me indeed. Enlarge my territory. What you doing with the territory he already gave you? What you doing with the money that he already put in your hand? You get money in your hand every week or every 2 weeks or every month or however you get paid. What you doing with the money that I already gave you? And if you have demonstrated that you are a poor manager of that money, if you've not turned a profit with what I've given you, if you just keeping your head above water, making a way if you can, then even what you have will be taken away and given to those who have proven that they know how to manage money. Can I tell you that your money is not your problem? It's how you manage your money. That's your problem. I know this is going to upset some people right now. It's going to really make some of you mad and might piss you off to the point where you decide you don't even want to listen to anything else that I'm getting ready to say. But I'm telling you that money is not your issue. If I just had more money, you do the same thing you're doing with the money you got now, waste it. That's what you'll do. Man, if I hit the lotto, you'll be broke in no time. Why? Because you got a broke mindset. You got a poverty mindset. You don't manage what you have now. So you're not going to manage that either. I know this is tough. This is real tough. Well, somebody try me and see, I'll show you what to do with. No, you won't. You'll show us just how you waste it. Because you waste what you have now. You're getting ready to waste again. Every year you get this windfall, this largesse from the federal government, your income tax return, and you go out and you buy another TV or another car that they're going to repossess, or take another trip, or buy a bunch of clothes that are going to wear out. Y'all not saying nothing to me. Come on. And you've been getting these returns year after year after year after year after year. And in just a few weeks or months later, you are right back in your broke status because you didn't manage it well. Ooh, I know this is not popular. This one's going to make a whole lot of folk upset with me this morning. But if you stay with me and keep listening, I'm going to help you as well. I promise you I'm going to offer you some solutions and some help. I promise you I am. Okay? Just sit for a moment right now. And I'm talking to most of you that are struggling. There's some wealthy people on here as well. But I want to talk to the few of you on here that are struggling financially. I want you to sit for a moment and think about all the money you've wasted, all the income tax returns that you've wasted, all of the inheritances that you've gotten from an insurance policy that you wasted, all the settlement money that you've gotten from an accident or disability or something else that you have wasted. All the paychecks that you have wasted, that you have absolutely nothing to show for. No proof of profit. So the money is not your issue. It's your stewardship, how you manage the money that's in your hand. What are you doing with what's already in your hand? Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's like when God speaks to Moses in that narrative and says to him, what have I put in your hand? Talking about the rod. Watch this. Talking about the rod. He says, you've given me a stick. And he tells Moses, cast the stick down. And he puts it down and it, boom, it becomes alive, turns into a serpent, picks it back up, turns back into a stick. He said, I put in your hand everything you need to confront the Pharaoh and to free the people. And yet the same rod that he used to turn water into blood in order to eat up Pharaoh's serpents and to free the children of Israel is the same rod that he used to hit and strike the rock and caused him to miss out on in going into the promised land. What are you doing with what God put in your hand? Are you managing it correctly and producing results and profit, freeing the people? Or are you using it just to strike the rock out of anger, frustration, and anxiety because I'm having it so hard? Same rod, same hands, two different mindsets. Let me get back to the text. Let me keep going. Okay? He says, so now give me an account because I'm getting ready to fire you. You're going to find yourself out on the street. And so the manager, the steward, the servant says, I got a strategy. I figured out here's what I'm going to do. Because I can't be put out on the street. And that's where I'm headed right now. I've kind of burned my bridge with this boss. He's going to fire me. And I am too old and too weak to be out here digging ditches. Am I talking to anybody in here? Am I talking to anybody in here? I'm too old to be working at McDonald's. I am too old to be out here working at Burger King and Chick-fil-A. I am too old to be out here digging ditches. And then he says, also, I'd be embarrassed to be out here talking about begging on the street corner. So I got to do something. This bridge is burnt. He's going to fire me. That's what he says. He says, when I am put out of stewardship. So he has accepted as a foregone conclusion that this bridge is burnt. I'm done with this guy because I've shown him that I'm not profitable. So I got to try and come up with a way to create a soft landing for myself. So he comes up with the strategy. Now, I'm going to pause right in here again because something else just popped into my mind just a second ago. At least the man didn't just sit there and whine and cry about what he felt was inevitable. He could have sat there and just whined and cried and made excuses and whined me and Lord Jesus, please go fix it, Lord. Fix it, Jesus, fix it for me. Oh, fix it for me. Like, what? You're up there crying and snotting and laying on the ground and pleading with Jesus to come fix the problem. No, Jesus ain't coming to fix jack. You got to fix it. It's the God in you. Oh, I know I'm making some folk mad, especially my church folk. It's not some man up in the sky after a while, by and by, pie in the sky. It's the God in you. It's the divinity that's invested in you. It's the creativity in you. It's the power and the force and spirit and the anointing that is in you. It is God in you. The kingdom of God comes not with observation. It's not over here or over there, but the kingdom of God is in you. God in you, through you, and as you. So what, you gonna keep whining and talking about climbing up a rough side of a mountain? Or you gonna look in you and begin to tap into that innate divine creativity and resourcefulness that's inside of you? Everything you need to rescue you is already in you. The Savior you are looking for is you. The help that you are looking for is you. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? It's in you. It's loaded and coded in your DNA. I can do all things through the Christ that strengthens me. That is in you. Greater is it that is in you. Not outside of you, not above you, not around you, in you. You can either cry about it or you can tap into your own resourcefulness and come up with a way. And you make a way out of no way. You open a door. You create an opportunity. Are you hearing me? No, I'm waiting on God to open it. That's what I said. You, God in you. God in you making a way out of no way. God in you opening a door that no one can close. God in you tapping into the resources and the creativity and the ability and the force and the power that's inside of you. All that whining and crying and supplicating is not the answer. Not the answer. You have not because you ask not. You ask and receive not because you ask amiss. You are asking stupidly. You're asking for abracadabra, hocus pocus, boom, kaboom, and there it is. Lord, I need you to wipe out my debt, supernatural debt cancellation. And then you sit there and look crazy when it doesn't happen. All these people done prophesied all that to you and it ain't happened yet. And you just getting deeper and deeper in debt. Instead of saying, Lord, give me a strategy to be able to eliminate this debt. Give me a strategy. Give me a strategy to create streams of income so that I am able to eliminate this debt that I chose to put myself in, that I unwisely incurred, that I decided to honestly enter into, and now I owe. I'm not asking you to punish another person because I am negligent in doing what I promised to do. Hello. But now give me a strategy, a means to create the resources necessary to eliminate this debt. One is praying amiss, the other is effectively praying. And then looking inward and coming up with a strategy, tapping into your own innate resources. So this man, while some may categorize him as unjust, I don't call him unjust, even though the word unjust here literally means that he's a mismanager. But he's not unjust as in being wicked, evil, unrighteous, unholy. Unjust in that he was a poor manager, but he shows some management skills here. He looks within himself and comes up with a strategy. And he says, this is what I'm going to do. So he calls all of the people that he had been doing business with, all of these other wealthy, rich people who owed his boss money. And then he begins to work his strategy. The first one, he says, well, how much do you owe? The first guy says, I owe about 100 barrels of oil. Sit down quickly, write out 50. Can you imagine how the person, wealthy himself, feels being given this largesse, this discount on a debt that he owes? He doesn't wipe out his debt. He doesn't wipe out his debt. He simply reduces the amount of the debt and says, now pay this. Lord of mercy. And so the man gladly writes out the 50. Then he goes to the next one. And him, again, tapping into his own intellect, his knowledge of the business people he's been dealing with, he says to this guy, okay, he's going to need about 50%. I know he can pay this amount, so I'll reduce it by 50, pay this. I just turned a profit. I didn't turn the full profit, but I turned a profit, because the problem is that I haven't produced a profit. Now he goes to the next one. How much do you owe? Well, I owe him about 80 bushels of wheat. I'm saying not 80, 100 bushels of wheat. He says, okay, here's what you do. Sit down, write 80. Because I also know where this guy is financially versus the first guy. He can get by with the 50. This one's a little more affluent. So let me give you a 20% discount. Write out 80. What happens? He turns a profit. Not the full profit, but he turns a profit. Because the problem is, in his management, he had not produced a profit. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And he does this down the line with all of the debtors. And when the boss sees his resourcefulness, he turns around and commends him. The same boss that was ready to fire him, the same boss that was getting on his case, upset and angry and dissatisfied with him, now commends him for being resourceful and saying that even though you didn't give me the full 100% of the profit that I should have gotten, you did produce a profit. You did something. You put the money to work, and you took the system and made it work for you, and ultimately made it work for me. This is affirmed by the next statement. Check this next statement. He says he commends the unjust steward because he had done wisely or shrewdly, it says in another text. He commends the servant because he had conducted himself wisely or shrewdly. Now, wait a minute, hold on. Let me unpack those two words. Let's define those, because there is a tendency, especially by the religious community, where that word is translated to shrewdly, to cast a negative connotation on shrewd. Okay, it is translated in the King James Version as wisely. Okay, wisely is defined or characterized by wisdom, marked by a deep understanding, keen discernment, and a capacity for sound judgment. But in every other translation, it is translated as shrewd or shrewdly. Well, here is the definition for shrewd. Shrewd is having or showing particular cleverness or judgment, to be astute, cunning, clear-eyed, clear-sighted, hard-boiled, hard-headed, heady, knowing, savvy, sharp, sharp-witted, smart, discerning, insightful, perceptive, precipitant, perspicacious, sagacious, sage, and wise. So he says, this man has been wise, discerning, smart. Are you hearing me? Sagacious. That this man has been very perceptive and witty, quick-witted. When he saw himself in a jam, when he saw himself in a tight, he didn't go whining and crying and just accept the inevitable fate of being fired and end up on the street. He looked within himself and came up with a strategy and tapped into his own resourcefulness and put that strategy into work. He executed his plan. And in executing his plan, he turned a profit. And so the master calls him wise and shrewd, and then makes this profound statement. Listen, Jesus says, for the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. This is what gets all of the church religious folk get the panties in a bunch, they get in a tight, and they start twisting themselves like a pretzel into all kinds of knots, trying to make it say that what it doesn't say. What? That can't be true. It is true. What he said is what he said. That the children who are cognizant of this world system and how it works are wiser than the spiritual religious folk, because they think they're not supposed to have anything to do with the world. That they're supposed to just pray and supplicate and cry and, Lord Jesus, do it for me. Fix it, Jesus. Jesus is gonna fix it after a while, after a while. Trouble in my way, trouble in my way. Lord have mercy. Are you hearing me? He says, the children of this generation, this world system, who understands how this system works and how to work the system, are wiser, more shrewd, have a better acumen, more discerning, more intelligent, more financially intelligent than the children of the light, because they're looking for abracadabra, hocus pocus, pie in the sky, by and by, magical fix. Y'all not hearing what I'm saying? Come on, church folk. You know I'm telling the truth. You know what do your preacher, your pastor always tell you? Just pray and believe God. If you hear shot ba sa ta 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 ta. Ta-ta, ta-ta-ta. I see a breakthrough. I see a financial breakthrough. I see God getting ready to turn it around. Slap your neighbor and say, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around. I'm hearing the spirit say supernatural wealth transfer. The wealth of the wicked's gonna be transferred. You're gonna open your bank account tomorrow and shanda, utaba, seba, seba, seba. It's gonna be filled with money. Come on. And you sitting there believing it. Shouting, dancing, screaming, rolling, spitting, jumping pews. And it and it hadn't happened yet. They've been talking about a supernatural wealth transfer for decades, literally decades. Decades. Your great grandmama heard them tell about a supernatural wealth transfer. Decades. There is no magic. The wisdom is learning the system and then learning how to work that system to your advantage. Lord have mercy. Let me say that again. And I need y'all to get with me right now. I need some help in these comment streets right now. Right in the comments right now. Learn the system. Learn the system. Learn how money works. We live in a capitalist society, especially here in the United States. Learn the system. Learn the system. You can quote all the scriptures you want, but you need to learn the system. You can shout, speak in tongues, huck a buck, jump the pew. You can flip, turn, fall, jump down, turn around, catch a bag, get a bag of posy or whatever that song say. But you need to learn the system. Yes, it is an innately racist system. It is systemically designed to try and oppress and keep our people down. But it is the only system that we have. So you better learn the system. Learn how it works. Learn the ins and out of it. Learn how capitalism works. Learn how investment works. Learn about land investments. Learn about options. Learn about stocks. Learn about bonds. Learn about business. Learn the system. Don't be so deep. Hallelujah. Glory to God. Thank you, Jesus. And you steady hemorrhaging money. Steady hemorrhaging money. You feel good, you look good, you got on the latest Jordans, but you steady hemorrhaging money and you are barely getting by and it's still living from paycheck to paycheck or from welfare check to welfare check or from food stamp dispersion to the next food stamp dispersion. You steady struggling because you have not learned the system. There is a system by which the world's economy operates. You need to learn how that system works. I'm not giving you pie in the sky. I'm giving you practical. We've taught about the spiritual economy and the laws that govern prosperity. But those laws don't make exceptions for those who, because they happen to be Holy Ghost filled and fire baptized and speaking in tongues. And it does not exclude those who are not speaking in tongues. The law is the law is the law. And if they can operate within a knowledge of a system and then tie and tether that to the laws that govern the universe, they are going to get results. And so will you. But you got to learn the system. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You need to know how money works in this economy, in this country, in this global economic system. You need to learn how it works. Learn the system. Quit sitting up watching TikTok all day and watch the news and read a book and study something and learn the system. Start putting something in your head besides the latest TikTok dance and trend or the latest Instagram fad or the latest Facebook. I'm from this, from Gainesville. So of course I'm such. And of course I'm That's cute, but it ain't making you no money. It ain't making your life no better. It ain't elevating you nowhere. It's not trying to reduce your stress. That's cute. It's nice. It's fun. Ha ha ha. Isn't that beautiful? But you broke. And you struggling. So the same brain that you're using to be creative enough to learn all of these dance moves and all of these little phrases and all of these sayings, use them to learn the system. Learn the system. No, not waiting for somebody to come and put it in your lap. No, not waiting for someone who is in the system, working the system, now coming and saying, well, come here, let me just take you step by step and walk you through it. No. Learn. You got Google. You use Google for everything else, to be nosy, to try and get in other folk business, to keep up with the latest trend. Well, Google and YouTube and learn the system. Oh, I know this is some hard news right here, because you used to people just putting something in your hand. You used to that welfare mentality and somebody just laying it out to you. That's why I got people right now wanting to get into the partner portal. I don't have the money to get in right now, but, can you just show it? Why can't you just teach me? Why can't you? No. Welfare mind, no. And don't tell me you don't have it. Of course you have it. You spend it on chips and hamburgers and chicken. Y'all ain't gonna holler back at me now. Okay? You got to be willing to invest in your own advancement. Lord help me. Let somebody put that one in the comment. Invest in your own advancement. Instead of you investing in a vacation, investing in the latest shoes, investing in the latest suit, investing in the latest video game, investing in the latest iPhone, or the latest TV, I got a 8K. I got a 8K 75-inch flat screen in my project apartment. What? You what? I'm pushing pressure in my Mercedes that I got parked outside the projects. What? Invest in your own advancement. Invest in your own advancement and learn the system. Learn the system. Because the system's not going anywhere. And you're not going to be able to cheat the system. And you're not going to be able to get over the system. And there ain't no magic, hocus pocus, miracle, this, that, and the other that's going to somehow catapult you above the system. Learn the system. That's what I said. There is no miracle prayer, miracle this, that, and the other that's going to catapult you above the system. Because if that was the case, then trust me, it would become a part of the system quickly, because whoever knew that miracle prayer that would be selling that miracle prayer to you right now. If someone had discovered a miracle prayer that was 100% of the time going to work and catapult you above everything else, and now all of a sudden you're going to explode, trust me, they would be marketing and selling the hell out of that prayer. And most of you wouldn't be able to afford it, because I promise you, they'd be like, oh yeah, you want this prayer? This is exclusive. Are you hearing me? But there isn't one. But there is a strategy, your own unique strategy that you can follow to learn the system and work your way out of it. Work your way out of your place of poverty, of slack, want, need, struggle. Ain't nothing glamorous about struggle. Folk glamorize it. They be talking and carrying on Facebook and on social media like, I know the struggle. I lived like, and I went that. Ain't nothing glamorous about that. That ain't nothing to brag about. You bragging about how you had to eat pork and beans and weenies out of a can? That ain't nothing to brag about. Oh, don't glorify struggle. Struggle is antithetical to who you are as a divine emanation, divine being rather, that is encased in this three-dimensional form. You have abundance loaded and coded in your DNA. Struggle is antithetical to your very nature. But consciously, you've allowed it to become natural and normal and acceptable. That's just the way it is. No, that's not natural for you. That's not normal for you. That's not a part of who you are. You are your isness. So don't sit there and glorify that struggle. But you have to begin to learn the system and go within instead of whining and complaining and begin to formulate a strategy. Learn the system and then work the system. You better learn how to work that system. Work it. I'm not telling you to do anything illegal. I'm telling you, learn how to work it. I am 150 million trillion percent against everything that Donald Trump stands for. But during the debate with Hillary Clinton, he said one thing that has stood out to me and stayed with me ever since that debate. Hillary made the statement that Donald Trump claims to be this billionaire who's made all of this profit, yet over the last, she said, 5 years, he's paid nothing in taxes. And Trump said into the mic, interrupting her, that makes me smart. I remember when he said it, it made me sit up. I was like, what? He said, that makes me smart. And when he got his opportunity to talk, he said, all of the donors that donate to Hillary and Bill, all of the millionaires and billionaires that donate to their campaign that she goes and speaks for and collects speakers' fees, they live by the same tax code that I do and take advantage of the same loopholes that I do. Now, if you don't want me to take those advantages, then change the law. But as long as the laws are there, I'm going to take advantage of the system that's in place and work it to my own. I'd be crazy not to. What? It jumped out of the television at me and hit me in the chest, and I have never forgotten it from that day. I am a trillion billion against everything that Donald Trump is, but he said something in that moment solid. There is a system in place. Learn it. And then work that system to your own advantage. Learn how to work it to your advantage. Learn the financial strategies that work for wealthy people and see how they adapt to your life and work the system. Learn how to create tax shelters. Learn how to make investments that shield you from having to spend so much money or being held accountable for things. Learn how to be worth one thing on paper and something else in reality. Perfectly legal. Perfectly legal. And you don't have to be rich in order to take advantage of all of those loopholes and strategies that are available, not just to the wealthy, to everyone who understands the system and how to work it. Did y'all hear what I just said? Because listen to me, because being holy does not equate to being stupid. I'm gonna take a sip and let that marinate. Shall I repeat myself? Being holy does not equate to being stupid. You don't have to be ignorant and stupid just to be holy and righteous. Taking advantage of the opportunities that are created by these laws, this system that is in place, that makes you smart. That makes you smart. Learn how to do. There's a really popular phrase that's floating around nowadays. Now everybody's talking about you got to stand on business. Okay, let me tell you what standing on business means. You know what standing on business really means? Glory to God. Okay? Standing on business really means learn how to occupy. When Jesus says occupy until I come, it literally translates to conduct business. That's standing on business. Learn how to conduct business like business, not favors, not friendship, not family, business. This is not family. This is business. This is not about friendship. This is business. This is not about a favor. This is business. He didn't go to these debtors and write them a discount as a favor. He did it for them so that he could conduct business. Now, they may have perceived it as a favor, and he wanted them to perceive it as a favor. Shrewdness, discerning, intelligence. Because his intent was, if they think that I'm doing them a favor, if this guy happens to fire me for real, I just created a relationship with this guy with money. He can take me in, and I won't end up on the street digging or begging. But he said, I'm conducting business. I'm standing on business. Stop letting these folks, especially church folk and religious folk, make you feel bad because of the price that you charge for your services. You know the value of what you're producing. And if they can't afford it or they choose not to afford it, they're not your target audience then. Find the ones that are. Stop trying to just market the church folk, because church people are notoriously cheap. I said it. It is the goddamn truth. Not all of them, but the vast majority of them are notoriously cheap because they have been taught a welfare mindset from the pulpit all their life. So they're always expecting something for nothing. They are always expecting you to just give it to them. Just put it in their hand. Favor ain't fair. So you just go favor me. Poppycock, stand on business. Stand on business. The price is the price. You either decide to buy it or you don't. You choose it or you don't. If you don't, you're not my target audience. I'm looking for the people who understand the value of what I am offering. Are you hearing me? Stand on business. Favor ain't fair. Nonsense. Nonsense. I'm going to really make some church folk mad with me now. That whole concept of favor is a fallacy. Because favor equates to God or imputes upon God that he somehow chooses one over another, that he somehow has a different level of like, concern, or love for one than he does another. Nonsense. God unconditionally loves all of us equally. No respecter of persons. That was created by men to manipulate you. You want the favor? Pay me. You want the favor? Pay me. You want this favor from the Lord? Oh, shadada. Prove it by giving me XYZ. It's another money scheme. That's all it was. Okay? Stand on your business. Know the value that you bring. Stand on that. This is what I'm demanding. This is what I know I deserve. This is what I'm bringing to the table. And if you want to come sit at this table, then this is what I require. Stand on business. Okay? Now, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm almost done. I know it's been almost an hour and a half. Just hang in here. I'm almost done. But I gotta get this last piece. This last piece is phenomenal. Okay? It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Listen to what happens. So he says, listen to what happens. The children, he says, of this world in their generation are wiser than the children of light because they know the system. They know how to work the system. Okay? They're not looking for abracadabra. Then he says, and I say unto you, this is outside of the parable. This is now Jesus, attributed to what Jesus is saying to the disciplined ones that are following his instruction, receiving his life coaching, receiving his mentorship. He says, I say unto you, listen. Make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when you fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitation. Quick Miles translation for you, he says, make you some rich friends. So that if you hit a wall or get into a tight, you've got people with resources there to back you up. Make you some rich friends. Take out your phone right now and go through your contacts. Look at all your favorites, all the ones that are in your circle, and tell me what you see. All of them are a reflection of you and your mindset. Y'all ain't gonna holler back at me. Y'all ain't gonna holler back at me now. Y'all ready to jump off? You ready to throw some stones at me? Look at your contacts. Look at your circle. Look at the people you connect with, that you hang with, that you go to lunch with, you go on vacation with, you socialize with, you going back and forth with on Facebook and Instagram and all social media. Look at who follows you and you're following. Look at the people you communicate with. Hello? Jesus says, make you some rich friends Start collecting relationships and contacts and networking with people with means and resources and wealth and riches. Because you're trying to go somewhere. You're trying to build something. You're trying to elevate to a place. How is someone who is just as struggle minded as you going to get you there? How do they lead you there when they're not there? Y'all ain't gonna holler back at me? Come on. He says, get you some rich friends. Lord have mercy, Jesus. He says, get you some rich friends so that when you fail, when you falter, when you fall, when you hit a hard time, hard wall, when you get into a struggle, when you are facing adversity, when you are having to deal with a real adversary or opposition, they can take you in. They can help you navigate. They can give you wise counsel. They can point you in the right direction. They can offer you support. More than just, I'll be praying for you. I believe God with you, bro, sister. Ooh, yeah, I'm putting you on my prayer list today. Okay, thank you. Let me go talk to somebody else who can do more than just pray for me. I'm not minimizing prayer. I am not minimizing prayer. I am not. Please don't get it twisted. But I'm saying, come on. He says, make you some rich friends. Some rich, influential, powerful, resourceful friends. Friends that are assets and not liabilities. You're looking at the emotional component of it. We've been knowing each other since kindergarten. Okay, that's nice. We grew up together. Okay, oh, that's wonderful. They're loyal. Okay, well, that's good. I'm not looking for a best friend and a loyal friend. That's good for the emotional component. I need some rich friends, some rich connections, some people who I can network with who are influential and powerful, who can make a phone call and make a thing happen, who can write out one sentence on a piece of paper and make things happen, who can open a door with a word, who can create an opportunity. No, I'm not talking about that's going to just put stacks of money in my lap, but who gives me something more valuable than the money. They can create an opportunity. They can create a way of escape that I might be able to bear it. Y'all not hearing what I'm saying. He says, make friends with some wealthy, rich, influential, powerful people so that when you hit a hard time, when you run into a wall, you've got some resources that you can tap into. Now that means you gotta step your game up, set your sights higher, swallow your ego, swallow your ego, swallow your ego. Hello. Because when you are initially making those kind of contacts and connections, you're going to be invited in the rooms where you just need to shut the hell up and listen and learn and watch and observe. Don't go in there trying to compete with, how you going to compete with them? You ain't got that kind of money. You don't have that kind of resource, that kind of pull, that kind of juice. Be glad that they're letting you sit at the juice table and try and sip from as many cups as you can. So swallow your little ego Okay. It's easy to be all that in a little tiny pond. But when you hop out there in the ocean, you realize that no, you really ain't all that. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's like, the girl who thinks she's the prettiest girl in her little town of about 3,000 people. Then she goes to a major city and realizes, oh, maybe I'm not that pretty after all. Or the athlete that is the star athlete in his little town. And then you get into college and find out, yeah, well, you ain't the only star. Hello? So be humble. Swallow your little ego. Get into those places. Well, how do I do that? I'm so glad you asked me that, because he answers that in the next part of the verse. The story, rather. He goes on to say, and he brings it to a conclusion. Those who are faithful in a little are going to be faithful over much. Those who are unjust, who mismanage the little, will also mismanage a lot. We talked about that earlier. And then you talking about what you'll do if you hit the lottery tomorrow. You're going to do the same thing that you've been doing with the little bit of money that you have right now. Because the only thing that changed was the amount. You still got the same mind. If you have the same mind with a bigger amount, your mind will reduce the amount. Good gracious, that's good right there. I said your mind will reduce the amount. Do you hear what I said? And only you're talking about imagining, boy, if I had this and I hit the lottery, somebody gave me let somebody give me 100,000. Let somebody give me let me say, well, the government been giving you thousands every year. You ain't done nothing with that. Sit back. If you're honest, sit back, think about all the money that has come through your hands over the years. Just think about it. All the money that has come through your hands over the years. Just over the past 15 years, 20 years, 10 years. 5 years. How about last year? What you got to show for it? What you got to show for it? Are you hearing what I'm saying? So he's like, if you can't be faithful, wise, prudent, shrewd, show some discerning acumen, be perceptive, strategic with the little bit, you're not going to do that with a lot. If you're not a good manager over a little, he says, you're not going to be a good manager over a lot. But then he goes on. And here's the next part that ties to making rich friends. He says, and whoever is not faithful over what belongs to another who's going to give them their own? This is what I mean by swallowing your ego. If you can't be faithful, show yourself a good manager, a good steward, a good person who handles someone else's business well for them, who gonna give you your own? I'm finna make some more people mad with me. I already dropped some numbers already. People already tuned out. Some of the rest of you gonna tune out right now. I'm finna make you mad. The reason why many of you, your businesses are not successful now is because of how you handled the business of the job you used to have or the job that you still got. Oh my God. Oh my God. Here's a divine principle, a divine law. You are always going to reap what you have sown. Cause is always effect. That you are creating a circulation and a compensation for yourself. Always, always, always. And he sums it up in a nutshell. If you can't manage correctly the business of another, who's going to give you your own? Huh? Hello? You were showing up late, coming back from lunch when you felt like it, taking property and stuff from the place. They don't need it. They don't miss it. I deserve this. I've been working here for 15 years. Ain't no big deal for me to take just that and that. I'm here today, but I ain't working, child. Don't think I'm doing nothing. I'm sitting on the clock today. And now you trying to be an entrepreneur and build your own business and wondering, why are you struggling so much? Oh, I can't find good employees. You wasn't a good employee. I know. Let me. I see houses, cars, and land. No. Here's the practical. Here's what you got to do. Hello. Can you be faithful over something that's somebody else's? Can you serve in a capacity without being negligent or whining and complaining? Can you work hard to increase the wealth and the productivity of the person that is the owner so that when you own, you'll reap that in return? Last thing he says, I already said it, but I just want to emphasize it. It says, here's what it says. He says, and if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, listen to this, who shall give you that which is your own? Give? Yeah. Who shall give you that which is your? He's basically saying, if you're not faithful over someone else's, then no one will ever give you your own. So the flip side of that is, if I'm faithful over something that belongs to someone else, then I put myself in a position where someone will give me my own. But I have to give in order to get. If I give my faithfulness, someone will give me my own. Ooh, you didn't think of your going to work as giving. You didn't think what you were doing was giving. Your serving was giving. But it is. It's giving faithfulness, integrity, reliability, accountability, responsibleness. I'm done. Here we go. Last thing he says is, no one can serve two masters. You will love one or hate the other. You would cling to one and despise the other. And then he says, here's the point. You cannot serve God and money. So what is he trying to say there? Is money evil? No. He's trying to get you to see that money is a resource. Money is a tool. Money is not your master. You master money. Let me say that again. Money is not your master. You master money. Money is not your master. You're not chasing the money. Money chases you. You learn to master yourself, and you can master money. You can command money to come, to go, to increase, to abound, to multiply, to accelerate. You learn to master money by how you manage it, command it. How do you manage the money? Are you managing money, or is money managing you? Money manages to stress you out, to upset you, to depress you. Money manages to get you in all kinds of fear and doubt and unbelief and have you do something strange for a piece of change. Money's managing you instead of you managing the money. If you manage the money, you will master it, and it'll serve you. It'll obey you. It'll do exactly what you command it to do. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm telling you right now, you got to shift your whole attitude and your whole mindset about money. I had to do it myself for years, most of my life, especially in ministry. I had this poor, pitiful pilgrim mindset about money. And I thought I was supposed to just give away everything and just be pliable and liable to everybody. And it's okay. And I'll accept the scraps that fall from the rich man's table. And not demand what I value, what I know my value and worth is. And money ran from me. It mastered me. It pushed me around. It pushed me around like a punk. And the moment that I shift in my mindset and started to understand that I am the master of money and money is not my master, that the Spirit of God within me is the source of my supply, but I got to follow certain spiritual principles in order to see money begin to change its attitude and disposition toward me and start to flow toward me, is the moment that everything begin to shift and change. And I'm telling you, it's the same for you. It's not the amount that you have, it's how you're managing it. And so you need to make some masterful money moves. Learn how the system works. Learn how to work that system. Stand on your business. That is, occupy until he comes. Do business like business and stop making it personal. Make it business. Make you some rich, influential, powerful friends. Network, connect. Move in circles where the rich, powerful, and the influential are. Don't go in there with your pride and your ego on your shoulder. Shut up, calm down, get in where you fit in so that you can make those connections and be willing to learn, listen, and serve. And then manage what you have correctly. Always look to create and produce a profit. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Whatever is not profitable to you, you don't need to invest your money or your time or your talents into. If it's not profitable, don't invest your time, talent, or treasure. That's what I said. Aside from charity, of course we do charity. But understand, that's what it is. That's charity. I'm not looking for a profit. I'm not looking for a return. That is an act of charity. But with everything else,
If I'm going to invest my time, talent, and treasure, it must produce a profit. Okay? You can't do all charity because the poor you have with you always. Ooh, I ain't got time to really dig into that one. But just take my word. Okay? Whew. All right. Boy, this was good. We got with it today. Let me look at some of these comments. Lord have mercy. I didn't get a chance to put any of the comments on screen. I will go through and read all the comments, and I'll respond to you in the comment section myself, because I don't want to take up more of the time. I've already been on here for a long time. And I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to worship with your giving. Worship with your giving. Giving is the highest form of worship. It is the highest and the purest form of worship, giving. And so I want you to take an opportunity and give. We are in this 8th year, 2024, 2024. If you add those numbers together, you come up with 8. And we've already talked about this before. We are in this 8th year. And so I want you to give a seed that aligns with that energy. Sow your seed that aligns with that energy. $88.88, $888.88, $8,000, $888, $80,000. Okay, however you want to do, $88,000. But to give a seed that aligns with that if you can. If you can't, then get as close to it as you possibly can. But do not take advantage of all that you've received today and not show your appreciation for the value of what you've been given today. Okay? Take out your phone or your device right now. Use the information that's on your screen and sow your seed. Those of you who are partners and you understand what your responsibilities are, meet your responsibility, and you also understand what we're doing with the financial fitness plan. Man, that is the one right there. That I guarantee you, the ones that are following this financial fitness plan have put themselves on a course and a path right now where they're going to be financially free and stable by the end of the year, and then begin to just create and build wealth in the years that are coming. So those of you who are following the financial fitness plan, if you want to know what the financial fitness plan is, then you need to become a partner. That's what you need to do. You need to become a partner and get into the partner portal so that you can get all of this information. Go ahead and give your gift right now. And I look forward to seeing you all at our next empowerment session next Sunday at 9 a.m. Thank you for tuning in.
Some of you are even afraid to dream, afraid to imagine. But I'm here to tell you that you are an infinite, limitless, boundless being. Are you willing to do what is necessary to have what you desire?
You've been listening to Apostle Isaac Miles, the disruptive innovator, a mentor, an author, a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, and the founder and spiritual director at Emerge LEC Life Enrichment Center. Please take a minute to subscribe, like, and share this page. If you'd like to become a partner, you can do so by emailing us at emerge.lifecenter@gmail.com. Again, that's emerge.lifecenter@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for watching.